Willkommen to our little program. We had such a fun time this week. We have 38 students this week, okay? And it was a blast. And we had like perfect groups to break down into different ages to do many different things. And they all have nya vänner, new friends, and they all have had fantastic foods in their bellies because of our yummy, yummy foods made by volunteers and the staff every day. And we've had many fun memories, and we'd like you to please encourage your child to keep looking through their binder now as they come home this week and have the weekend with you, and try to encourage them to use it before they lose it. So on behalf of Norwegian Ridge Language Camp, I'd like to introduce myself. Jeg heter Rachel Storley, og jeg bor i Spring Grove. And this is...
Jeg heter Katrine Myra, og jeg bor også i Spring Grove.
These are some easy conversational sentences and tools that your children should have, so please encourage them to teach you how to say this with them. We have had such a great time this week. Katrina has kind of a listing of the numerous activities that we've been doing with your children. And we're going to kind of go by maybe day by day a little bit, just so you have a little insider's view before we turn this into more of a music and dance program, because we want to make sure you realize all of these great things, and then you'll have conversation starters with them about their week. So on Mondag, we
were talking about the alphabet, colors, numbers, and doing pretty simple morgen. And one of the songs we did, Rachel did, morgen, 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 jeg heter Katrine, morgen, 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 hva heter du?
Morgen, 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 jeg heter Rachel, morgen, 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 hva heter du?
And we keep going, and it's an easy way. When you see somebody, you can say morgen, you can say hi, you can say hello. But morgen, 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 that song, you just like Rachel has been saying to the kids, you learn it so much better if you can sing it. It sticks to your brain. We've had, like Rachel mentioned, fantastic non-processed food pretty much the whole week. Monday started out with meatballs, boiled potatoes, and then you have your boiled carrots. Every meal was also served with hand-baked bread. They've been getting that every day. You'll see that up at the Ballard House when we go up to try out some of the yummy stuff. The second day, on Tuesday, Tisdag, we talked about Easter. Actually, I got to finish Monday first. But where was I going with that? I don't even remember. Okay, I'm going to give it back to Rachel, because she did some presentations about Munch and suffrage.
Yeah. So this is a really, really big year in Norge, because there is a celebration of the anniversary of Munch, the painter, the artist, the printmaker, and we all learned what was his most endearing work of art that still remains to this day. What's it called, Osami? The Scream! And so all of the children, alle barna, created their own scream using the style of Munch. And we talked a lot about farger, the colors, and how they relate to the emotions. And they also did a secondary painting based on an emotion that they wanted to bring out from their deep inner souls. We also talked quite in depth about the women's suffrage movement in Norway. And each of the groups broke down and learned about some very powerful females through history in Norway that helped to create the suffrage movement, which was won for those women in 1913, 7 years ahead of the American suffrage movement created the results that they had been anticipating. So each team broke down and we did some skits, and we learned all about these fabulous women throughout the history. We learned about Gro Harlem, and we learned about, I'm going to forget all their names, but the people who were really like back in the 1800s even, really being visionaries about this type of thing, and how it created better rights for children and women all across Norway. We also had a little insight into the Sami population and the fact that they're a double minority, and how they've been treated pretty badly throughout history by the Norwegians and other Nordic countries, and now have also been fighting for their rights alongside of the Norwegian women. So immigration was also a focus of Monday. Your child received a passport when they got to camp, and we wanted to make sure that they felt like they were understanding the process of immigration and how it was to be on a boat and packing up everything you and your family need into a little trunk and putting your whole family on a boat and just sailing on and hoping to get to someplace safe where you can build a new home for yourselves. And each of the children packed their own trunk on our iPads, which we were so happy to borrow again this year from the school district. And so ask your child what they packed in their trunk to immigrate. And we had some interesting things on the list. But we talked about immigration and the beautiful murals that were provided by Sigmund Orseth, who sadly passed away this past year. But when you get over to the Immigrants Hall, you'll realize that all throughout the Ballard House there are fantastic murals depicting specifically the story of immigration from Norway to this specific part of the country. So that was really, really exciting. Please visit the Munch Museum. We've set up an art gallery on the 3rd floor of the Ballard House, and that is where you can see your child's paintings in the style of Munch. And we would ask that you also take them off the wall when you see them and bring them home to add to your permanent memory collection.
All right, we'll head on over to Tuesday. Hey, I'm not that sure.
It was a mistake.
So Tuesday, we were so grateful to have Betty Dow join us again this year. She is a fantastic educator and teacher. And last week we had 4 to 7-year-olds. There wasn't a peep. They were listening. The same this year too, or this week. We had one group of a little bit older kids, and then we had a younger group, and not a peep. They were all listening. They were all working hard, and I think they created some amazing rose mulling. Because rose mulling, although it looks easy, because you just make some C's and some S's and different things, it takes a lot of time to learn. All the kids had hand-painted name tags. Yes, their name is on the other side, but this part is what they created. It was mulling that Betty Dow showed them how to do each step. You don't just jump into it and throw it together. There's specific ways to do it, and these kids did a fantastic job. In their binders, we really encourage you to look through the binders. There's lots of cool things. There's that plastic pocket with the cheat sheet or the practice sheet put inside. You can wash that off and do it again and again and again, or you can get many plastic sleeves and just see the progression. And it's a fantastic tool. And Betty said she didn't just start doing this yesterday. She has done this for 30-some years. So it explains why hers is beautiful and perfect. We all start somewhere. It's just how much you practice and keep it going.
And don't forget, the name tag can be doubled as a Christmas ornament this year. Okay, so you can take it off this thing and instead put it onto a nice piece of ribbon or string and put it up on your Eula today. So remember that, everybody.
So because we split the whole group into 2 groups, just because it was a little easier to accommodate for rose mulling, we took half the group and we alternated on a little påsketur, which is an Easter trip. And we talked about how we celebrate Easter in Norway. Some of the things that we typically do, we go up to the mountains and we bring a backpack or skis, hot chocolate, appelsin, some of those things, chocolate, chocolate, and visit our grandparents. There are a lot of different things we can do during Easter, but we talked about some of it. The kids all did the 3 Billigos gruff, the Treboknebrusen. So we actually read through the script in Norwegian, and then they had to tell us what the play was about, and they pretty much all of them had either seen it or heard it or knew what it was about. And then they had to reenact. Rachel brought some great costumes, They had to reenact the play, and we had some amazing trolls. We had some amazing goats. It was really, really fun. And then we had apelsine, we had cacao, hot chocolate, and we had quick lunch, or Kit Kat bar is the closest thing in the park. And it was absolutely fantastic. That day for lunch, we had what we call in Norway lapskaus, which is cut up meat with lots of vegetables and then kind of a stew. But it's something that all kids just eat because you're born with, that's your first meal pretty much. And these guys, typically we try to save some, or hopefully we hope there's a little left over for today. And I don't know if they made new lapskaus, but these kids ate every little bit of lapskaus. There was nothing left. So let's see. We also had a local woman and her daughter. They came with goat's milk, which they heated up and put vinegar in it. And these kids got to see how it turns into ricotta, or she made it into ricotta cheese. She added in some baking soda and some butter, and we all got to try it afterwards. And I think pretty much almost everybody dared sample it, and it was fantastic. And I think the daughter is going to send me the recipe of how to make it, and we're going to put it on the website. And this is something you can make at home too. So eventually we'll get that up there. A lot of things we need to update on our website now. We're working on getting pictures up there, and we're also on Facebook, but we'll have links on specifically on our website that everybody can access.
Also, videos that we've taken of the activities will be posted at some point soon, and we'll also have recipes. Certain recipes are private intellectual property of some of the volunteers that were making our meals, but others will be shared with you by our website, and then you can recreate your own köttbullar when you get home for Christmas this year.
So yeah, we will definitely try to share as much as possible. Every night this week we've had a theme. The very first night, or like an optional activitet, and the first night was heart hunger. Now there was one, Nikki, wasn't it Nikki?
Yeah, Nikki.
She showed up, and do we have her sample?
I forgot it, but I'm going to walk around with it, or have Nikki walk around with it and show you when we get back to the Ballard House, because it's fabulous work that was done at that one-person class.
And on Tuesday, we had knitting, or actually I want to finish up, let's see, Tuesday afternoon, we did crocheting. And I think some found it very easy, and some found it a little frustrating. It is hard, it is tricky, and but keep at it if it's something you think is cool. I was very happy to see how many boys thought this was really cool to crochet, and they got it. And if you still want to crochet, keep trying, because it's once you kind of get it, it's not that tricky. And I saw some making holders for their iPods or iPods. No, yes, the little ones, or phones. And they all have the pattern in their binder. So if mom and dad, or grandma, grandpa, if you guys know how to crochet and somebody wants to learn, and you can also Google lots of patterns. But that night we had one of the activities, the optional thing was to do some knitting. And I did hear that some of the ones that maybe struggled a little bit with the crocheting actually had a lot easier time with the knitting. And that was really fun to hear. I have knitted a lot. I made a lot of socks, a lot of sweaters. Typically though, I would pick out a pattern and call one of my grandmothers, because they both knit, and I would say, hey, do you think, pretty please, you can make this sweater for me? So I haven't made lots of sweaters, but a few. But it's so special when you can make something yourself and then actually wear it. It's pretty cool.
And thanks also to the art gallery. They were kind of our hosts that night, and they invited all the people who wanted to learn how to knit down to the art gallery. And from reports that I heard, it was a really, really fun night. So thanks to the art gallery board for inviting them.
All right, Wednesday, we started out, we had a special guest, Britt Eddie. She was born in Norway and she moved over here in 1977. And she came up and talked about the Viking saga, Snorre. And I wasn't in the room, and it's been a few years, so I don't know if you want to elaborate on what she talked about, because I don't remember.
Well, actually, I was running around making copies and getting the scavenger hunt ready myself, but basically what she talked about was the saga of some of the kings and how Iceland is really where the old Viking language seems to come from and still remain very strong. So that was, I think, what she was trying to get across mainly, and it was really exciting stories. So the sagas and the myths, the mythology is incredibly cool, I think. The kids were all kind of like, oh, really? And after that, we went right into my PowerPoint about Odin and the Norns, who live at the base of the World Tree Yggdrasil. And we learned about Odin and his quest for knowledge through deciphering the runes and how he sacrificed part of his body to get knowledge and some kind of barbaric things. But I mean, it makes for really, really cool stories. And then of course we had to use rune symbols in our scavenger hunt to figure out where to go to the next location or the next cache to find our way through the scavenger hunt. And the kids deciphered the runes in groups, and they worked as teams to get to the next location, and they used their brains to get them from the Ola and Per statues to the cemetery to the Gopatur, and then they even found the Norns cache down by one of the ponds on the tour. And it was a really, really fun time. That morning, we also had a relative of Katrina do something very exciting as well in the field at the Grace. Maybe you can say more.
I sure can. She, my crazy sister-in-law, Jane Bierke, and I'm sure many of you know her, she does this, she does all kinds of fun stuff, but she did Viking games again this year. I know on Monday when we first met, we asked, what are you kind of looking forward to this week? And a lot of them said, Viking games, Viking games. And they would do relays with one specific one they had were these water shooters that you've probably seen come home. They would run up, and on a stake would be a red Solo cup, and you would have to squirt water until the cup fell off, put the cup back on, and run down, and the next one would go. They had rope tug of war with ropes. They had a long string, 2 teams, and you had a hula hoop, so you had to hold hands. Who could get through the hula hoop faster? Now we did notice, the teamwork pays off, because the one team that decided, here, let's hold the hula hoop still, and everybody crawled through, and you're still holding hands, they finished much faster. So the next time, if you're ever in a hula hoop competition thing where you gotta hold your hands, that's a good trick. They were gonna do rock throwing to see who could throw it the farthest. We kind of ran out of time, so there were some things we couldn't do. They did finish up after doing also the relay with the soccer ball and maybe a few other things. One time they had to have a helmet on their head to make sure it came back down. And then the last one was a canning lid, and there was a step ladder with spring rope pipe. And when you could toss your canning lid and hit on top of the bottle, you got to drink that pop or take it with you. And I also want to say, when we talk about the kids, no disrespect to Jan and John, because they are actually adults. But we are very grateful to have adults in this group too. And last year we had 3, this year we had 2, and it's been wonderful, it's been really fun. So no offense when we talk about the kids, because you're included.
And then when we came back from all of that exciting Viking and rune time, we were met and so happily received some special guests also who are here today who've created a majority of what we're doing for the program when we're done talking. So we snuckers, yeah, we do like to talk Christianity. So we're gonna actually call up right now Kari Tori, who you read about in your brochure, and she has been taking over basically, besides a few Norwegian lessons here and there for conversational style Norwegian, She's been largely in charge of their group activity since Wednesday afternoon, and we're just so excited. So please help us join in a round of applause for Kadi and her assistant Becca.